Within the body cavities, there are a number of serous membranes. Now, these membranes line the body cavities and cover the organs. There are two layers. They consist of the parietal layer and the visceral layer. Now, you need to be able to remember which layer lines which part of the body. So the parietal layer lines the cavity. The visceral layer covers the organs. So in the thoracic cavity, there is the left and right pleural cavities. So the pleural cavity has two membranes, the parietal and the visceral pleura, and they cover the left and right lungs. In the thoracic cavity, you also have the mediastinum, and within that is called the pericardial cavity, where the heart is located. So here's a diagram of the pericardial cavity. Remember, it's got two layers. It has the visceral pericardium, which is attached to the heart muscle, and the parietal pericardium, which is the other side. So we've got the two sides, and the middle bit is called the pericardial cavity. You can see here that in order for you to get a closer idea of what we're talking about, if we had a balloon and it was partly filled with air, and we got our fist and pushed it into the balloon, then that would give us a resemblance of what the pericardial cavity is like, where we've got one surface of the balloon attached very closely to the outside of our clenched fist. That would be the visceral pericardium, and then the outside of the balloon would be the parietal pericardium, and the inside space within the balloon would be the pericardial cavity. Here we are looking at a cross-section, a transverse cross-section or a CT cross-section, where we've got the anterior and posterior. So the anterior, the front, the posterior, the back. We've got the left and the right lung. We have the mediastinum, and within the mediastinum we have the pericardial cavity. And within that cavity we have the two layers, the visceral pericardium and the parietal pericardium. If we're looking at the lungs, you can see also we have the pleural cavity, we have the visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. Within the abdominopelvic cavity, we have the peritoneal cavity. And within that peritoneal cavity, we again have two layers. We have the parietal peritoneum, which lines the internal body wall, and then we have the visceral peritoneum, which covers the organs. The abdominal cavity is the superior portion, and the diaphragm is on from the diaphragm to the top of the pelvic bones, and it contains all of the digestive organs. Then you have the retroperitoneal space, which is retroperitoneal, retro behind the peritoneal space, the area posterior to the peritoneum and anterior to the muscular wall. So it's the area behind the peritoneum in front of the muscular wall on the posterior side of, or the back side of the human. And here we have the pancreas, the kidneys, the ureters and parts of the digestive system. The pelvic cavity is the inferior portion located within the pelvic bones or the pelvis, and that will contain the reproductive organs, the rectum and the bladder. There are structures outside of the body cavities. We know that the skeletal system is outside of the body cavities, and it provides the basket in which the abdominal cavities is contained. We have the integumentary system. We have the skeletal muscles of the arms and legs. We've already said that the kidneys are outside of that body cavity. We have the testes that, of course, are descended into the scrotum, which is outside of the body cavity. We have the peripheral nerves, and we have the blood vessels. So they're also located outside of the body cavities. So that's the last slide of part 2 of lecture 1. So this is all of the lectures for this week, and I hope you enjoy working through your activities within your anatomy and physiology laboratory report. Bye for now.